So shame is a rational fear of others. But what we're fearing is not necessarily rational. We're fearing the subjectivity of others. We are accepting that other people have a list of do's and don'ts. We may not objectively agree with it. We may not believe that that is a rational list of do's and don'ts. All we know for sure is that those people can hurt us big time. And so our fear of them is rational. We are afraid of other people because deep seated in our brain is this idea that the group is extremely dangerous to us if they were to all agree at once that we were terrible. This is tantamount to death. So this rational fear of others, even their irrationality, becomes internalized. And this is what shame really is. Now, we learn to do this as children. So a lot of the way we do I mean, I learned how to tie my shoes when I was 5 years old. How do I tie my shoes now? The exact same way. How will I tie my shoes if I ever get to be 90? The exact same way, right? We only need to learn things once. And often how you learn to do it as a child is how you're always going to do it, no matter what happens in the future. Once a habit gets set, there's often no reason to change that habit. So as we learn to sort and categorize the events of our life in our own minds, it's just like learning how to tie our shoes. It's just a habit. It's just one that we don't see happening. But ask yourself, even when you tie your shoes every morning, do you really see it? Or does it kind of happen beneath your notice, right? Even the things that you're actually doing with your physical body throughout the day, you often have no clue that you're doing because they're just automated. Shame is like that, but it's all inside your brain. It's all neural pathways and thought patterns that are just as physical, really, as tying your shoes. They're, neurons and synapses firing in a certain order, in certain patterns. It's just that we can't really see them. It's really hard to see these thought-based behaviors. So the reason why shame being inherently childlike is tricky is that children believe that observation creates reality. Little kids will cover their eyes and think that they've made the world disappear. That's the ego of the child. And I don't mean ego in the sense of pride, just they don't really have a sense of perspectives outside of themselves. So they can't conceive yet of an exterior perspective that could see them if they can't see it. And this is part of what we love about children. This is part of what we find so adorable and cute about them, is how wildly selfish and self-absorbed they can be, and yet they're completely innocent at the same time. There's something about that we love, because it is ultimately innocence. It's not really a true, malignant selfishness. It's just this little thing is completely at our whims, right? It is, if we don't totally take care of it, it's not going to survive. And so again, looking back to evolution, it does these things to make sure that its needs can be met until it can take care of itself. Children are needy because they have needs. So children get this cognitive bias ingrained in them that if I don't observe it, it's not there. So where does this get to be tricky? Well, if this continues throughout life, I don't observe what I don't want to be there, then the amount of stuff that you're not observing because you don't want it to be there, because you're afraid of what it would imply, just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And anybody who's experienced shame, you're not going to be shocked when I say this takes on a certain psychological weight that is really hard to describe. And the impacts of this are numerous. They're absolutely debilitating.